Hey there, CJ Math students. So tonight I'm going to help you out with homework 2.12, rational number word problems, specifically focusing on addition and subtraction. So the odd problems are literally word for word exactly like the even problems, but with just different numbers. So the work that I do here is going to be vital to you completing the work over here. I want you to get in the repetition, understand the process, that hey, when I see a problem like this is the process I can go through. So a bird that was perched atop a 15.5-foot tree dives down 6 feet to a branch below. How far above the ground is the bird's new location? So the addition sentence is 15.5 diving down 6 feet is plus -6. What do? We break this up. We say, all right, 15 plus 1/2 plus -6. Use commutative property. 15 plus -6 plus 1/2. 15 plus -6 gives you positive 9 DSSL plus 1/2. I get to smush them together because they are the same sign. So it equals 9.5 feet above the ground. Pause the video right now and do number 2. You should be able to get number 2 very easily. Number 3. Mariah owed her grandfather $2.25, but was recently able to pay him back $1.50. How much does Mariah currently owe her grandfather? Owing money is negative, right? So negative $2.25. You're in debt to somebody. Paying somebody back is positive, plus $1.50. So this is a DSSL problem, different signs. So I subtract. I line up my decimals and I subtract. The larger number goes on top. 5 minus 0 is 5. Borrow. This becomes a 1. This becomes a 12. 12 minus 5 is 7. 1 minus 1 is 0. So Mariah still owes her grandfather 75 cents. So 0.75. Pause the video and try and do number 4. Number 5. Jake is hiking on a trail that leads up to the top of a canyon. The trail is 4.2 miles long, right? That's a positive distance, 4.2. He plans to stop for lunch after he completes it 1.6 miles. How far from the top of the canyon will Jake be when he stops for lunch? So after completing, just imagine you had like this path, right? This path is 4.2 miles long. And completion is like saying, all right, I got to here, which is 1.6. How do you find out how much distance is left? It's a subtraction problem. But for our case, remember, we changed subtraction into adding the opposite. So again, DSSL, 4.2 minus 1.6. You need to borrow from the 4 to get 3, carry a 2 to get 12. 12 minus 6 is 6. 3 minus 1 is 2. So he still has 2.6. Put your units down. The units are miles. Sonji and her friend Rachel are competing in a running race. When Sonji is 0.4 miles from the finish line, she knows that her friend Rachel has fallen. Sonji runs 1/10 of a mile back to help her friend. How far will she be from the finish line? So she's 0.4. Again, distance from the finish line. She's about to finish. But then she's going to go backwards 1/10. Now I could represent 1/10 as a fraction, or I could say, hey, that's plus -0.1. So if I run backwards, if I'm at 0.4, just imagine a number line, right? On the number line, here's 0, 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, and I run backwards 1/10, I should land up at 0.3. That's exactly how this DSSL problem works out. 0.4 minus 0.1 gives me 0.3. So she'll be, how far from the finish line? Oh, I made a mistake. She'll be, it's a negative. Here's a trick to this one. She has yet to finish the race. So if finishing the race is 0, we'll call this the finish line. Finishing the race is 0, right? And she's 0.4 away from finishing the race. She's at like -0.4. To go back in the race means to get farther away from 0, farther away from the finish. So this is -0.4 plus -0.1. she's equals negative 0.5 but I need to use the absolute value of this because distance is always positive. So she is 0.5 miles away from the finish. That's a tricky one. I realized I made a mistake on that one because when I said 0.4 plus negative 0.1 and I got 0.3, I was like, wait a minute, she can't be closer to the finish line if she runs backwards. So I just kind of used logic there. All right. Number 9. Mr. Henderson did not realize his checking account had a balance of $200, so he's got positive $200 when he used his debit card for a $317 25 cent purchase. So purchasing something is taking money out of your bank account. So 317.25 minus 200 because it's a DSSL problem. Different sign, subtract. So line up your decimals and go ahead to subtract. 5 minus 0 is 5, 2 minus 0 is 2, 7 minus 0 is 7, 1 minus 0 is 1, and 3 minus 2 is 1. So he is now in the negative by $117.25. The bank is not going to be happy with him. Why was it negative? It was because we had more negatives than we did positives. And number 11. If the temperature is 3 degrees Fahrenheit, negative 3 degrees Fahrenheit at 10 o'clock, and the temperature falls 4 degrees, so negative 3, and it falls 4 more degrees overnight, what is the resulting temperature? So just imagine a thermometer, right? Here's your thermometer, here's 0 degrees, you're at 1, 2, negative 3, you go down 4 more. It's an SSAK problem. You get negative 7, negative 7 degrees Fahrenheit. All right, I'm going to do the same thing I did last time, 13 through 15, because they are very similar to problems 16 through 18. So look for a subtraction sign in 13. I find one right here. That becomes change. So plus negative. I'll rewrite this so that I have my negatives next to each other using the commutative property of addition. I get negative 7 plus 19. That's a DSSL problem. My answer is positive 12 because that's what 19 minus 7 is. Number 14 right off the bat is just a straight SSAK problem. Same signs, add, keep. They're all negatives. Just add them all up and get the answer. So this is negative 15 plus negative 11, and that gives us negative 26. Number 15, I got to do a lot of keep, change. So minus negative becomes plus positive. Minus negative becomes plus positive. So now let's rewrite it. Negative 12 plus 7 plus 9. Let's add these because they are like signs first. So negative 12 plus 7 plus 9 is 16. And it's a DSSL problem now because I have a positive and a negative. 16 minus 12 is 4. My answer is positive 4. Let's circle our answers so we're nice and neat. So you'll do 16 through 18. Lastly, practicing percent of problems. Just wanted to touch on this again because you see it on the Ames web all the time. Remember, take the percent, change it into a decimal once, twice. So then do 40 times 0.20. Recognize that you have 2 decimal places, so you'll have to move 2 times in the end. So the first line is nothing but zeros. You can start your second line by laying an egg. 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times 4 is 8. Add it all up. Your answer is not 800. You have to move twice in the end. Once, twice, your answer is 8.00 or just 8. All right? Please make sure you're showing all the work just like I have. Good luck. Call me if you have questions.